Hi there, everyone. Today we're going to talk about and make mixed media. I'm super excited about this. I love mixed media. Oh, there's. I think mixed media is one of the most exciting ways to work two-dimensionally because it takes two-dimensional painting and drawing and brings a three-dimensional element to it, and it allows you to use all kinds of different materials. So let's get started. This is an approach that is very prominent in contemporary art. In the last 100 or so years, it's become very prominent, and I want to show you many different ways that you can do mixed media yourself. And there are endless ways to do mixed media, so just remember that. And you'll get the feel of it with what I'm showing you. I'm pulling out cat hair everywhere, my goodness. Okay, so I wanted to turn the piece that we made in class last week. I wanted to turn this into a mixed media piece for you. But first, before I do that, I wanted to show you an example of a mixed media piece that I made in the start of graduate school. This was one of my first mixed media pieces that I made, and I really, really love it. I know it's at an angle because I'm leaning it on all my things, but it's okay. You can get the gist of it. I just wanted to show you how this was one of my first attempts with mixed media, and what I did was I brought in ripped magazine paper, ripped book page paper. I brought in old books, and I used pen and ink, and I used acrylic, and I used oil sticks, and I used spray paint, and I used notebook paper, and it was just one of those pieces that really, really opened my eyes with what I could do with paint and with drawing materials. So I just wanted to show you this as an example. I can't get the whole thing in there. It's I just hit the window. But it's one of those pieces that I've kept. It's one of the only pieces I have left from graduate school, and you can see that it's just one of those pieces that I really learned from, and it's special to me, so that's why I keep it. So I wanted to show you that so that you can get the idea of what we're working towards today. And I, of course, am going to show you some art history and contemporary art. And like I said, mixed media is a huge theme in contemporary art. So I wanted to show you just a couple artists in a couple different books. And what mixed media is, to summarize, it is whenever you take the two-dimensional surface, like a painting or a drawing, and you transform it with many different materials or multiple different materials. It doesn't have to be many, but more than only paint and more than only graphite and ink. And it even takes one step further from collage, whereas collage is cutting and pasting paper together to create an image. It is using more materials than collage. So I wanted to show you a few different examples so that you can get some different ideas of what you could use for your mixed media piece that I hope that you try from watching this. So this is Lisa Liu. She is a contemporary artist. This is titled Kitchen, and what looks like a painting, it is a lot of different materials in one piece. So what this is, it says mixed media and beads. So I'm sure that you might not be able to know exactly what she has in this unless you are seeing it in real time, in real life. And that's one thing that I really encourage you to go to art galleries and art museums so that you can see artwork in real life, because it's just so different in whenever you are able to get right up to it. So in this piece, I see what looks like glitter, I see paint, I see tape, I see beads, and probably resin, probably all different cut paper, ink. It looks like there's all kinds of different pieces to make this, all kinds of different materials that make this piece. And so what I want to emphasize again is that the mixed media approach, this really was inspired by the Dada artists that started concept art and blah, 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 but I'm not going to get into all of that. But it's taking the two-dimensional drawing or painting and making it more tactile, bringing it into the three-dimensional realm, and really embracing all different forms of objects and things, and really pushing the limits for what you can use to create art. One of my favorite contemporary artists, Joan Quick-to-See-Smith. This is made with, it says, oil and mixed media. So again, you won't know exactly what is in there unless you see it in real life. But if you look closely, she has this massive oil painting. It looks like a triptych. A triptych means 3 panels, 1, 2, 3. It looks like there are 3 panels making this, and then she has all of these different objects. This is called trade, gifts for trading land with white people. So I'm not going to get into the concept of this because I could go on about this for a very long time. I had Joan Quick-to-See-Smith as one of my inspirational artists for my MFA thesis, so I could talk about her forever. But what I'm going to say is she brings in all these different objects that were given to Native peoples by the by government, by white people who are trying to buy their land, like baseball hats and clothing items and this and that. So this is a wonderful example of how you can transform the two-dimensional oil painting and bring it off of the wall and bring it out into the three-dimensional realm, like I said. So this is an example of that. Joan Quick-to-See-Smith, I highly recommend checking her out. I am a huge fan. Here is another piece that I wanted to show you. This is by Ken Aptekar. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, but this is an oil painting on wood with sandblasted glass, bolts, and writing. And so that there's another, some different ideas. I'm just reading you these different medium descriptions so that you can get ideas for what you can bring into a mixed media piece. Here is Fred Tomaselli, and in this piece, I adore this piece. This is actually on the cover, so it makes sense. In this piece, he brings in leaves, pills, insects, acrylic paint, photos, photo collage, and resin on wood panel. It's just beautiful. That's Fred Tomaselli. I want to also mention that, like in here, when the artists, when the painters and the drawers in the last 100 years started to bring the painting and the drawing off of the wall through mixed media, sculpture, and installation is a huge realm of the contemporary art world that I don't have words for how much I love installation. And I just wanted to point out that installation is thought of as, some might describe it as three-dimensional painting or three-dimensional drawing, because it's whenever you transform an entire room into an experience. Mixed media usually plays a big role in this. Sculpture, it's everything. Installation it can be every form of art, and that's what I love about it. So that's that piece there. That's installation. And I believe that this painting here is a mixed media painting in that installation. So yeah, leaves, pills, insects. You can do this on canvas. You can do this on wood. So there is, I highly recommend checking this book out if you can. Themes of Contemporary Art, Visual Art After 1980. And this is by Gene Robertson and Craig McDaniel. Definitely recommend that book. Another one. This is quite the book. adore this book. It's called Vitamin P for painting. They also have Vitamin D for drawing. And this is another contemporary art book. You can see I have a lot of bookmarks in there, but I'm going to focus on these ones. So again, I just wanted to show you some contemporary artists in mixed media or that create mixed media. And I wanted to show you this artist, Angela de la Cruz, because she takes the canvas and she turns it into a sculpture. She turns it into installation, and this is what is very unique to me and very intriguing about installation. When you take the painting and you transform it. So here she has canvas that take up the whole room. The canvas is on the back, the wood is there. And so I encourage you to think about how you can manipulate your surface. If you want to try the mixed media first and then move into sculpture, move into installation, just remember that you can alter your surface in any way that you want. So see how here she takes the canvas and she paints it entirely and then rips part of it off, crumples it up, throws it on the ground. I just wanted to show you that, how in your mixed media piece, remember you can do whatever you want with your art, but one of the things you could do is you can alter the surface. Here's another artist I wanted to show you that I really enjoy this work. It's very vibrant and colorful. This is Pia Frias, I believe is how you say it. And if you look closely, this work is made of oil and silkscreen on wood panel. So that is mixed media. It has oil paint and silkscreen on wood panel. And so she does totally abstract works, focusing on the texture and the mark making of her mixed media materials. And they're just beautiful abstract artworks. That's non-objective abstraction. That's Pia Frias. And here's some more of, oh no, this is Bernard Fries. So this is acrylic paint and resin on canvas. So here's another abstract mixed media artist. Because again, with mixed media, it doesn't have to be three-dimensional. I wanted to say this also, that it can be completely two-dimensional still, but mixed media is a way to make it three-dimensional. So that's what I meant to say. So here is Federico Herrero. Now, this is an artist who does mixed media and installation. So remember, installation is when you transform a space or a room by adding your art to that space, creating that experience. So this is a mixed media drawing on a wall. This is spray paint on the side of the sidewalk, and here is some of his mixed media two-dimensional works. And he uses oil paint, tempera paint, acrylic, and enamel in these. So these are, again, more abstracted, expressive mixed media artworks. That's Federico Herrero. Some more abstract mixed media art. This is Fabian Marcaccio. I hope I'm saying that right. And this is ink and canvas and mixed media. It doesn't tell you exactly what is in here, but I see what looks like fabric and string and spray paints and oil or acrylic paint. And then here, this is also an installation artist as well. So you can see this is a room back here. So you enter through this, and there's the gallery. So yes, mixed media has been a great way to get artists into the installation world. And here's another, wow, incredible. So you see this is an entire room right here. So it comes, his work comes off of the wall, and it has, who knows what he has in here. Just beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. I think that was, oh, one more in this book. This is the book Vitamin P. This artist, she uses a lot of ceramic tile and oil on canvas and wood, and there is, what is this over here? This is oil, foam, and aluminum on wood canvas. Okay, very good. So yeah, I wanted to show you how it can be totally abstract. She puts cuts in her piece here. Here's her into installation. Very good. So yes, this is Vitamin P, another fantastic book. There's Vitamin P2. I think there's Vitamin P3. There's a Vitamin D as well. So check that out. And then another book, In the Making, Creative Options for Contemporary Art. So remember last week I told you about abebooks.com. Check them out, abebooks.com. This is again where I get all of my books. This is Will Shade, and here is a mixed media drawing, which I really like as well. So here is clay, gouache, and pen and ink on handmade paper. So I think that's a really awesome combination, bringing clay in with gouache is a type of watercolor paint, or it's very similar to watercolor paint, but that's a whole other story. And then pen and ink on handmade paper. So the artist made the paper, which is really great. And then here's another artist that I wanted to show you. This is Yukinori Yanagi. I hope I'm saying that right. Asia Pacific Ant Farm. So in this mixed media piece, there are ants, yes, physical ants crawling through the boxes, colored sand, plastic box, plastic tube, and plastic pipe, and paint. So I just wanted to show you that one. It's a live ant farm mixed media piece on the wall. So you see just the different ways to approach this. And then in the Brief History of Art book, I wanted to show you Marcel Duchamp is really, with my interpretation of this at least, I had noticed that in art history, it seems like mixed media really came about when the Dada artists came about with concept art, where found objects were found and were gathered and were turned into visual artwork. And I think that that is really when mixed media took off in the, after the 30s, the 1930s. And especially like Robert Rauschenberg and Jasper Johns in the 50s and 60s. These were huge artists, huge mixed media artists that, Robert Rauschenberg, he would take a head of a stuffed goat and attach it to a canvas and throw paint on it. It's just fascinating. So Marcel Duchamp was the start of the Dada movement and found object sculpture, and I think that the piece in here is really great of his, where he puts a mustache on the Mona Lisa. Another artist here is Kurt Schwitters, and this is a mixed media piece that is very collage based. So there's newspaper, and there's fabric, and there's paper, and there's paint. So that is one of the artists in this book. And then here's another one, a contemporary artist. You might have heard of him, Damien Hirst. I believe, yeah, he is one. I think Koons is richer than him, but Damien Hirst is in the top 5 richest living artists of today. And in this piece, so check him out. If you don't know who Damien Hirst is, you gotta know who he is. He's a very, very prominent contemporary artist, to say the least. And he used gloss household paint and butterflies on this piece, and I just love that piece. I had to show that to you from our weekly Brief History of Art book. I just love this book. It has so many good things. Now, to turn this piece into mixed media. So this is a painting. It is a 2-dimensional acrylic painting. So now I want to make it a mixed media piece. By now, you know what that means. And I'm going to show you different objects around the house, different things that I have around the house that I can bring into this. So again, I'm going to transform it from only paint to mixed media. Now how I'm going to do that, I can bring in graphite pencil, I can bring in vine charcoal or compressed charcoal. I have, butterfingers, I have a charcoal pencil, I have ink pens, Sharpies, I have hot glue. Hot glue is a wonderful way to attach things for your mixed media artwork. You can use Mod Podge, hot glue, super glue, really whatever glue works for you. You can use tape, you can use painter's tape, duct tape, masking tape, scotch tape. It's up to you. However you want to attach different objects to it, you can do that. I'm going to use probably mostly these two things. And scissors are very helpful in this so that you can cut up different objects, different materials. Scissors, you can also use X-Acto knives for fine detail work. So I definitely recommend having some form of some material to attach objects with, some material to cut things up with, and you go from there. And I like to always have these drawing materials like I just showed you along with my paint on the side. I might bring in oil pastels. I love oil pastels. You could also use oil sticks if you have oil sticks, or chalk pastels are another great one. Yes, I am a 5-year-old at heart. Crayola crayons are always great. And I have told you maybe before, I've also said to my students of the past, when I was teaching upper elementary, I'm teaching high school and college now, but when I was teaching elementary, and I would have, this is related to the Crayola crayons, my story that I'm about to tell you. When I would have upper elementary students, and I've had middle school students and college students who they have a more abstract or expressive way of making, and someone might tell them, I've had people tell me too, with how you're making, oh, a 5-year-old could do that. And after teaching elementary kids, I have told students and I have told friends, and I just really believe if someone tells you that you paint or draw or make your art like a 5-year-old, say thank you, because 5-year-olds are the most honest artists. Just saying. That's my opinion. Then I have Prismacolors colored pencils. So these are like the basic drawing and painting materials that you know that you can have in here. Paint brushes. Okay. Now when you want to start to get into more mixed media, start with thinking of the paper that you can cut and paste and bring in here. So of course you can get snazzy and you can buy collage paper books. This is chalkboard paper, so you can, go to the craft store or go to the fine art store or look online or wherever you want to go, and you can buy all you want. There's endless collage books of different types of papers. I have these books from a few years ago, and before I really got into mixed media, I thought that this was what I should do. But you can find free materials to bring into your mixed media, absolutely. But this is, absolutely an option to go buy these books of, multiple different types of papers. And you can also, buy fabric. This is very vibrantly colored canvas that you can, as you see, I cut it up over the years. So you can bring those types of books in, of course, and cut up the paper out of there. You can also use old books. If you have a book that you do not like anymore, you do not want to read, or you go to Goodwill, you can get 25-cent books, and you can rip it up. And ripped book paper, oh, it just looks so great in a mixed media or collage piece. So you can do found book paper. So I'm really talking to you about found paper now. If you don't want to go and buy books, I'm showing you about found paper. That's what I call it, found paper. So old books, junk mail. You can use junk mail. You can use the envelopes. You can cut up these little clear windows in your junk mail. You can use that as a material. It's very sticky. Put it right there. You can use, if you rip open an envelope, the inside is really cool. It has like a diagonal directional grid, which I really like. So maybe I'll bring this into here, put this here. Maybe I'll use this window. So you can use the envelope of junk mail. You can use junk mail itself. We all get it. As you get older, the more junk mail you get. So you can use that. That's another option. I really like the how I ripped this. I like the line that this ripped envelope is making. So I'm gonna use that. Okay, so you got found paper like junk mail, and of course newspaper. If you look at newspaper, there's so many great parts of newspaper. Like I think that barcodes look so great, so I'm going to cut up a barcode. And if you cut up different shapes, you can of course do that. So if you look through here, I really like, and you don't have to use scissors, you can just rip. Never be shy to get a little imperfect with your artwork. So I'm going to rip that out, maybe bring that in. See? We'll see. So look through newspaper. You could also, oh, I wanted to show you this too. I really like I said about the book, I really like text in newspaper. So you can bring that in. Absolutely, you can cut it, you can rip it. Get as creative as you want with it. I love, oh, that's one that I found. I guess I like that envelope inside of that envelope too. Okay. And I like the blue here, so I'm going to use that blue. You know what? I like the black there too. So you see, as you're looking through these found paper options, whatever strikes your fancy in that moment, whatever you like in that moment, use it. Don't be shy with yourself. You can, of course, use notebook paper, and you can write on it or draw on it before you attach it to your piece or after. So yes, notebook paper. You could use computer paper that is plain white. I also like looking through old drawings that you might have. So I ripped this up in class a couple weeks ago. But if you come across an old drawing that you know you are not going to keep working on, or you're not going to try and sell or anything like that, you could rip these up and you can put different parts of your old drawings into your new mixed media piece. Since I already have this drawing ripped up here, I'm going to use these pieces for this. demo. Oh, and I got more newspaper. Okay, why not? Then, like I showed you that fabric book. This is fabric from that book. And another thing that you can do with fabric is you could cut up old t-shirts or, you know, any piece of old clothing that you have. You can also get these free, these are wallpaper samples. Yes, these are wallpaper samples, right? Yeah, that's what I got. Yeah, these are, I got this back in grad school. These are wallpaper samples, or, and you can get fabric samples, wallpaper samples if you go to Lowe's or Home Depot or any store like that, and they're free. So it's pretty fantastic. So you can bring these in. I'm going to bring this piece in for today. I also have this piece from before, and then I cut this leaf out. So I'm going to use that. This is also from this fabric. This is not wallpaper. Sorry. This is fabric. I had not had enough coffee. And then this is an old painting. So that's another thing I wanted to bring up, is you could use old paintings, just like old drawings. If you have any paintings on raw canvas, you know, if you have old artworks that you're either not working on anymore or you are not going to sell, you can cut those up as well, just like the drawings. And so I cut out a leaf from one of my older paintings, so I'll use that. And then out of that fabric book, I cut up a leaf there, and then I might cut out some abstracted forms from that. So let me put these up here now. I have space up there. So yeah, all kinds of different options here. You got fabric, wallpaper, free samples from the stores, old drawings, old paintings, notebook paper, computer paper, newspaper, junk mail, old books, found books, and then you could also go to magazines. So if you look through magazines, if you get them in the mail, or however you come about your magazines. I mean, magazines are just fantastic. You can get so many different images out of magazines, especially if they are magazines that are filled with pictures and imagery. So that's another option. Magazines. So instead of going through this whole magazine, I could find so much in there, but for time purposes, for demonstration purposes, I'm going to move into this one. So yes, if you look through magazines, there's another option for you. So I'm going to set those aside, and then I'm going to show you found objects. Aside from found paper, look outside, look around your house. When we went camping a couple weeks ago, I found, when my love was chopping up firewood, these are pieces of wood that flew on the ground from him cutting up the wood for a fire, and the shapes of them were just so awesome. So I collected all of them. And I wanted to bring them into mixed media pieces, so I have them here. So I'm going to work with those too. So yeah, think outside the box. With mixed media, you can do so much. This is literally just chips from chopping firewood. And when you find the firewood in the woods, that is also free. So this is other things that I found. This cement, or this brick, this broken piece of brick that I found. I thought that I could attach this somehow to the piece. So there's found brick. There's some spray painted organic matter. When I say organic matter, that means like leaves and branches, things like that, grass. Whenever you find, this is charred wood, whenever you find organic matter, whenever you attach it to your piece, you need to remember that it will biodegrade naturally. So you want to make sure that you just understand that. So you can either preserve it with different oils. That's a one thing that I can tell you about. If you want me to tell you, please ask me. How you can preserve organic matter with resin, glue, wax paper, all kinds of things. But just notice that you can attach string to. So this was, I found all of these things around our campsite a couple weeks ago. And again, organic paper that had the spray paint on it. So I thought that was really beautiful. It was these green leaves with orange spray paint on it. So definitely wanted to bring those in. I found batteries. I found shoestrings. So you can find all kinds of things just if you look. You just gotta look. There was this bark with that spray paint on as well. So I just wanted to let you know that mixed media, bring anything into it. It is literally endless options. So let's turn this into mixed media. Now, once you get there, once you have all of your found materials, I just want you to go for it. So I'm going to just start this. It might not be complete by the end of this video, but I'm just going to show you the gist of it. So whenever you're doing this, I want you to remember that once you use mixed media, it makes you see objects differently. And I really like that about creating artwork this way. It allows you to think outside the box, think outside of the traditional box, and it allows for you to get more creative, I think. So even if you do not like it, that's okay. But if you at least try it, then at least you tried it. So I'm going to first attach this piece of notebook paper. I'm going to put this in the sky back here. And right now, I'm really more concerned with turning the image that is already here into a mixed media piece for demonstration purposes, because I just want you to see that transformation. So I remember I'm bringing oil pastels in, and I want to keep this hillside here. So I'm going to bring that all the way around. Oh, you don't want to put, make sure that you do not put Sharpie ink or illustration pen ink pens, illustration ink pens, or oil pastels or colored pencils on top of wet Mod Podge, because it can ruin it. Just a side note. I'm going to bring crayons in. Okay, so that's not going to work yet. So whenever you are putting down certain papers with Mod Podge, if you want to add drawn or painting materials on top of it, make sure you wait till the underneath is completely dry so that you don't rip the paper. So like just now, I risked that a little bit and I got a little too excited and I should have waited. But luckily it didn't rip. So then I'm going to bring in some newspaper. I'll just leave it down there, that's fine. Into the midground. And see, I am the opposite of a perfectionist. I think you know this by now. I work very intuitively. So if you are more of a perfectionist, do the process of this with what works for you. Just because I am not a perfectionist doesn't mean that you need to surrender that part of yourself, because that is who you are. So if you are more of a perfectionist, I'm going to show you a trick here that I want you to embrace. I'm going to bring some of my drawn pieces into here. I'm getting to that. Hold on one second. I just got distracted. You can also put the Mod Podge down on the surface as you're putting it down, instead of putting it on the found paper. That of course works, obviously. It's another way to do it. Put the Mod Podge. You hear people say Mod Podge, whatever. It's all the same thing. Language is weird. Okay. The trick for if you want to make this more perfect, or if you want to cut out a specific shape that you already have down, I'm just showing you a trick. If you get tracing paper, if you have, say that you want to cut out a shape of one of these materials, you want to cut out this flower shape. One way that you can do that is you can take your pencil or pen, it doesn't matter. You know what, I might actually use a Sharpie so you can see it better. I will trace that flower shape. Cut it out. And the reason for doing this is because this is if you are adding mixed media on top of an already drawn or painted image, you can trace a shape that you want to turn into a collage or mixed media portion of the piece. This, you could also do this if you want to trace out a photograph. If you want to bring part of a photograph in, you can do this in that way. This technique can apply to mixed media in multiple different ways. This is just one of the ways that it can work for you. So once you have that, then you can use that shape, and you could it's stuck together. I'm going to take fabric and I'm going to trace that shape onto the fabric. And if it's not perfect, don't stress. If you want it to be more perfect, go for it. I'm just also trying to work a little bit faster so that I can show you as many things, as many possibilities in this time, so that you can as much of this as possible. So you have that shape, you can keep that for the future if you need to. And then cut out that shape. Now, of course, if you do not want the if you do not want the ink marks or the traced marks on the front of the shape, remember you would want to then turn your traced shape backwards so that you can turn it right ways without any ink marks, or you can cut around it like I'm doing, but I'm trying to move faster. Another more particular way that you can do this, if you want to, of course, get more detail or have it be a smaller shape or this and that, what you can do is, instead of using these gigantic scissors and moving quick, you can move very slow with an X-Acto knife. So this is where an X-Acto knife really, really helps what you're doing. And I recommend trying both an X-Acto knife and scissors for this so you can see the difference between the two. An X-Acto knife definitely can get you more detail, smaller shapes, and even smaller scissors sometimes can help, but scissors can only do so much. When it comes to bigger shapes, fantastic. When it comes to less detail, fantastic. But definitely try out an X-Acto knife for smaller shapes and anything like that. So there you go. So I just wanted to show you how you can then have that shape and turn it into a fabric piece instead of paint. And for this, you could use, for fabric, you can use hot glue, or you can use Mod Podge. I know that Mod Podge works great for certain fabrics, and for some fabrics you'll have to use hot glue. I wanted to show you the difference between the two, so that's why I'm going to use both. I have a trick for hot glue. Once you pull it up, swing it around, go like that, so then you don't have the hot glue strings. Hot glue strings are a nightmare. And remember, with hot glue you gotta work a little faster because it dries pretty fast. And be prepared for a burn. It's okay, it might happen. So there you go. And if you want to bring that yellow dot back, you can bring it back. All right. So I am going to continue covering this sky with this, I don't know why I just had that upside down. So when you are doing this, remember that it is very forgiving, like that. it is forgiving, because if you make what you might feel is a mistake, or if you do something that you want to remove, or if you don't like something, whenever it is mixed media, you can easily do that whole motion of covering it up. Maybe you could remove it. Maybe you could transform it into something else, just like any time that you make a mistake. But especially with mixed media, because you're already layering and covering things up, it's easy to fix something if you need to. One thing here too is mixed media, I want to really tell you that mixed media really brings about the possibility for depth, and I think it's really powerful in that way. So whenever you are layering things, collage, as you know, it brings another layer, another layering element past the point of only paint or graphite or ink. And so whenever you bring mixed media in, it naturally creates a depth from the materials that you're bringing in. So you see how I'm really playing with the layers here, very intuitively. That's just how I work. So you see how I started to transform the background. I started to transform the foreground, and I'm not going to have the time to completely finish this. However, I do want to show you this trick with the junk mail and a couple other things. Whenever you're using the junk mail, I love these windows, because if you're doing this, if you want to see through to what is behind that piece of found paper, that's a really cool way to do it. You can literally see through. So I see from last week I wrote surrealism and I can still see it. I think that that's really cool. Now this mixed media piece I would consider to be 5% complete. I want to build and build and build these layers, but that might take me hours because I work much slower with mixed media, and I think that that's okay if we don't completely finish this during this time frame, because I'll show it to you next class. And I wanted though to bring to the foreground a couple different objects so that you can see how I wanted to play with these a little bit. So this is that bark that I found in the woods with this orange spray paint on it. Now, when you bring in objects like this in mixed media, hot glue is almost necessary, or some type of glue like that, whether it's super glue or with leaves you could use Mod Podge, you could use hot glue. It just kind of depends on what you're feeling. But I wanted to bring in some of this wood too that I found. I have cat hair everywhere. Oh my goodness. Okay. So ideally, I'm thinking I want to cover the entire foreground with this wood. and then I might paint on top of it. But I'm going to work in the shapes of the wood around the flowers, and then I might do the similar thing with the rest of these flowers. But I just wanted to show you how you can bring in all of these different objects in so many different ways. Oh, flip that. Okay, so yeah, this is going to take some time. So I won't finish it during this class, and that's okay. That is totally all right. What I want you to see is the possibilities. I want you to see the possibilities. How, once this is dry, you can, fill it in with oil pastel. You can fill it in with paint if you want. You can use both oil pastels and paint to recreate a sky. You could bring in, really expressive marks with the crayon on that paper, because you can't do that on the canvas that the rest of this is on. And you could bring in marker on top of the newspaper if you wanted to. You can bring in all kinds of different materials in more abstracted ways. You can also, create this in your realistic style, expressive style, abstract style, but I just wanted you to see the opportunities that you have with mixed media. So here I started to bring in newspaper, so found paper like newspaper, old drawings, notebook paper, junk mail, found objects like bark and chipped wood, fabric, and I'm going to keep building this. And in between the layers, as you already saw, I started to bring in drawn materials and paint, like oil pastels and ink and acrylic paint. So I just want you to see that this is a contemporary style of art making that has endless possibilities, especially when you think outside of the box. You can do so much with it. I really hope that you enjoy it and have fun with it. You can start with an image, or you can start with a blank sheet. You can, I highly recommend creating mixed media on a more durable surface like wood or stretched canvas, but you could do it on found objects. You could do it on found surfaces like records or like pieces of bark or this and that. So don't be shy, think outside of the box, have fun with this mixed media project, and just go wild, have fun. I mean, it's just a good time. Happy making, enjoy. I'll see you next time.